Morning, we're joined by Republican Oklahoma Senator James Lankford. Senator Lankford, thank you for joining us this morning. The president outlined the strategy in 4 points. Airstrikes targeting ISIS leaders and infrastructure, now with stepped-up action from European partners, continued training of Iraqi and Syrian forces in conjunction with our own special forces, increased intelligence sharing with allies, solidifying Turkey's border, and working with Muslim partners, and finally, the pursuit of ceasefires in the Syrian war. Do you like the president's strategy? Do you believe it'll work?
Yeah, all of that strategy is already existing strategy. Most of that are things that he's done for the last 2 years. The increased intelligence security and increased intelligence sharing, many of us have said we should have done that quite a while back. But I would tell you, we need to do more than just work for a transition in Syria. The political transition sounds like a positive thing, but we really need to have the removal of Assad. Much of what's happening in that area and many of the Sunni nations are not joining us in the fight right now because Assad is still in place. And as long as ISIS is still fighting Assad, they don't want to fight Assad because they want to take out Assad more than they want to take out ISIS. So for us to get a Sunni coalition that's really on the ground and really working, Assad needs to go first.
Senator Lankford, would you want to see American boots on the ground there in Syria and continued in Iraq?
No, I don't think anyone wants to see that. And I think the president's statement last night was correct. There doesn't need to be a large-scale ground force there. But we do need to have an increased presence there of our special forces and directing a Sunni military that should be on the ground from the region. But for that to occur, Assad must have to be removed, not just some sort of long-term political reorganization, as was mentioned last night.
Senator Lankford, the president also touched on guns during his speech, namely the fact that people on the no-fly list, potential terrorists, can buy guns in this country. Let's take a moment real quick to listen to what he had to say. The president said, quote, Congress should not act to make sure no one on a no-fly list is able to buy a gun. What could possibly be the argument for allowing a terrorist suspect to buy a semi-automatic weapon? This is a matter of national security, end quote. 54 senators, including yourself, voted against an amendment last week to make that possible. Can you explain why so many people were opposed to that amendment?
Yeah, people are opposed to it because of something called the United States Constitution. No individual and no executive branch can actually remove a constitutional right. There is a constitutional right to keep and bear arms, just like there is for freedom of speech, freedom of the press, freedom of assembly. What has been historic is if someone commits a felony or if they're committed by a court, then they can move that constitutional right. What the president's proposing is the Attorney General of the United States has the power to be able to say to any individual, you've lost your rights, and no one knows who's on the no-fly list or how you get on the no-fly list or the terrorist watch list. So I don't want to give any president or any attorney general the right to be able to remove a constitutional right from an individual, just like I wouldn't want to have any member of the press suddenly be declared by the attorney general, I'm sorry, we don't think you have a free press anymore. It would be the same as losing your freedom of the Second Amendment. Now, we need to absolutely get guns away from terrorists. But the way that that's done is through a court system, not through the Attorney General's declaration.
Do you think that there is a process whereby you would support that, where we could get a better understanding of the no-fly list, how it works, who is on it, and any possibility of amending that?
No, I think it's very, very important. Most Americans don't know how you get on the no-fly list. There was a famous instance when it first started that Senator Ted Kennedy was on the no-fly list, and he actually couldn't fly. There are over 90 members of the Department of Homeland Security that are currently on the no-fly list. So there are lots of individuals that are falsely listed on that list that have to be maintained, and I don't want that list to bleed over. We have very good oversight over the list that has criminal records and background checks for the instant criminal background check for purchase of firearms. But that has great transparency and has a process. The no-fly list currently does not.
Senator Lankford, thank you so much for joining us this morning, providing reaction to President Obama's speech last night. We know you're getting ready to head on the plane to Washington, and we do appreciate your time, sir.
You bet. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.